An OU student accused of felony assault and battery. Winter weather is making its way to Oklahoma, and one student's journey through early voting. This is OU Nightly.
You can call. That will always save you.
An OU student has a message for their other woman facing her accused attacker in court. Hello, I'm Kayla Davis.
And I'm Chloe Sparks.
An OU student who says she was the victim of a brutal attack is speaking out tonight.
OU Nightly's Lindsey Gibbs was at the first hearing in this case today and joins us live with the story. Lindsey?
Hey, Chloe. The first case was right here today at the Cleveland County Courthouse, where suspect Gage Ford was present after spending a week at home with 2 warrants out for his arrest for what police are saying he did to his girlfriend. Is Allie Stevens, a 19-year-old freshman at OU. Prosecutors say this is what happened to her at the hands of her boyfriend, Gage Ford, and they say he was trying to kill the couple's unborn baby. Allie filed a police report after the first incident of assault and battery in early October, later given a year of probation. Allie says 2 weeks later, he did this to her. She is choosing to share her story to help other women.
Always know that you cannot save them. No matter what, they're only going to get worse and never gets better.
The police officer who testified in court says it was like she had apples in her face. The bruising on her neck showed me she was strangled, but I couldn't see the whites of her eyes. They were swollen shut.
Always protect yourself don't ever try to put someone before yourself, because that's when things can get really bad.
Ford is now charged with a felony account of domestic assault and battery against a pregnant woman. Bail is set at $250,000. Gage is still currently being processed this afternoon, but if he posts bail, then he will be able to return back to his home in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and he will have to wear an ankle monitor as he awaits trial. Reporting live from the Cleveland County Courthouse, Lindsey Gibbs, OU Nightly.
The Women's Resource Center in Norman is dedicated to stopping the cycle of domestic violence in Oklahoma. They provide a wide variety of programs, including a crisis center, shelter for those needing a safe place, and a satellite office for other services. Their crisis lines are open 24/7, and even though their name says Women's Center, they're available for anyone in need of a safe place. The Women's Resource Center employee, Erica Maynard, explains speaking up is the first step.
Start by telling someone that you really trust. Here at the Women's Resource Center, we start by believing. So anything you come to us and say, we believe you, we're here for you.
You can learn more about the Women's Resource Center at wrcnormanok.org.
And we're facing a major cold front today and for what looks to be next week as well.
That's right, Nash Rhodes is in studio today, ready to give us the heads up about this brisk weather. Nash, what can we expect?
Yeah, that's right, guys. You stepped outside this morning, you probably noticed it feels like we are in a completely different world than we were just 24 hours ago, and you are not mistaken. We have plummeted nearly 40 degrees in the last 24 hours down to 48 degrees here in Oklahoma City, with those winds now soaring out of the northwest at about 20 miles per hour. And when you factor that into these temperatures across the board, it makes it feel like we are in the 30s here in Norman. We even had feels like temperatures down in the upper 20s out in El Reno earlier today, and unfortunately this cold weather really is just going to settle across much of central Oklahoma. I'll let you know how long that's going to last. Also, an update on when you could expect some wintry precipitation, maybe even some snowfall right around the corner, and a game day forecast. All that coming right up. Back to you two at the desk.
Thanks, Nash. Another record-breaking day for COVID cases in Oklahoma. Right now, we know there are 956 Oklahomans in the hospital with COVID, a record high number. The Oklahoma State Department of Health reports 1,373 new cases today, totaling over 15,000 active cases in Oklahoma. There are 13 new deaths today as well. bringing that total to 1,234 COVID-related deaths in the state.
The Norman COVID-19 dashboard reports 36 new cases today with 557 active cases in the city. There have also been 46 total deaths in Norman. Governor Stitt has also extended the COVID state of emergency for another 30 days, starting today.
Early voting is underway in several states, and so far there's a record turnout in Texas. OU Nightly's Sofia Olivas shares her experience early voting in her hometown in Texas.
There's a lot of fraudulent voting going on in this country. Universal mail-in voting is going to be catastrophic. It's going to make our country a laughingstock all over the world. Absentee voting, great. But this mail-in voting where they mail indiscriminately millions and millions of ballots to people, you never...
With 2020 being my first presidential election and one of the most important elections we've faced in years, I long debated how I was going to vote. In 2018, I decided to vote via absentee mail-in ballot because I'm from Texas. But this year, I wanted to do something to make sure that my vote got where it needed to go. So I grabbed a friend, we packed up our car, and headed to Dallas. After the 3-hour trip, we finally made it downtown. We decided to vote at the American Airlines Center because we'd heard lines were moving quickly and for the scenery. When we approached the polls, there were no lines to move. It was a ghost town. After our short trip in and out, we made friends with a man who told us about his voting experience at the AAC.
It was perfect. Walked right in, right out. So 5 minutes, and that's all it took.
After we cast our ballots, took our obligatory post-voting pictures, and explored downtown a little bit more, we headed back to Norman. All in all, it was a great experience, and I'd encourage anyone who wants to early vote to do so in person if you can. Bottom line, just vote. Sofia Olivas, OU Nightly.
In Oklahoma, early voting takes place next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at county election boards across the state.
The 2020 presidential debates wrapped up last night.
And this time, each candidate was able to express their policies without interruption.
In 2 years after the murder of University of Utah student Lauren McCluskey, the university is finally acknowledging their neglect.
Stick with us after the break to find out more in today's News Center.
Welcome back. The state of Colorado is engulfed by the East Troublesome Fire. Haley Weger has more on the story in News Center.
Thanks, Chloe. Fires continue to blaze in Colorado, forcing more families to evacuate every day. The East Troublesome Fire in northern Colorado has burned over 170,000 acres and is only 5% contained. The strong winds and dry conditions in the state are not helping the flames, but there is hope for rain starting tonight. This is one of 54 active fires that have burned more than 3.9 million acres in 11 states across the country. And President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden faced off in the last presidential debate of 2020 last night. The moderator could mute the candidates' microphones, allowing for a more civil debate and giving candidates the chance to tackle real questions regarding what they will accomplish if elected. The candidates addressed race, immigration, and COVID-19. Election Day is just 11 days away, and polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it's been 2 years since the University of Utah student Lauren McCluskey was murdered by her 37-year-old ex-boyfriend, Melvin Rowland. McCluskey reported her ex to campus police more than 20 times before he shot and killed her. The university agrees to pay the McCluskeys $10.5 million and is renaming the newly launched Center for Violence and Prevention in her honor. The university says they are also working to improve campus safety. And Chloe and Kayla, the longest flight in the U.S. is back. The 10-hour flight from Hawaii to Boston was canceled due to COVID, but passengers can finally board the flight again for the holidays. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Haley. We'll be right back with a look at weather.
Welcome back to OU Nightly on what has been a frigid afternoon this Friday. Temperatures plummeted after this cold front rolled through last night, leaving us in the 40s and 50s across the entire state. Here in Oklahoma City, 48 degrees right now with those winds soaring out of the north at 21 miles per hour, making it feel even colder than these temperatures you see here. So don't be fooled. This 48 degrees temperature here in Oklahoma City, it still might feel like 32 or 34 degrees out there depending on where you are. But lows tonight will be in the 30s and 20s across the board, especially if you live in the western portions of Oklahoma, out in Elk City, Woodward, or Guymon. The normal for this time of year is 50 degrees, and it is much cooler than that. But we are looking at a freeze watch now extending from Lawton, Norman, Oklahoma City, and even into Tulsa because those temperatures are dropping so rapidly and will be well below that 32-degree mark, especially in this dark purple shaded area, including Elk City, Woodward, and Enid. This is for overnight tonight, so if you have any plans outdoors, go ahead and bring those in because it's only going to get colder from here. The good news is tomorrow we'll start to lose a little bit of cloud cover and warm up just a tiny bit, leaving us with mostly clear skies for Saturday afternoon. So if you have any plans, go ahead and knock them out on Saturday. Otherwise, a low pressure system makes its way into our neck of the woods, dropping a cold front right through central Oklahoma. This is Sunday night into early Monday morning. That's going to whip up some more precipitation in the form of rain, freezing rain to our northwest, and even some snow further to the northwest portion of our state, including the Panhandle. So keep that in mind as of now. Not seeing that snow here in the metro, but on and off wintry precipitation both on Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday into Thursday. So keep that in mind when you're making your plans this week. The number one question I've been asked is, are we going to see snow here in Norman and Oklahoma City? Unfortunately, that's going to stay well to our north. 4.3 inches of snow forecasted for portions of Woodward and even out into the Panhandle. But for us, not seeing any of that snowfall. Instead, we see lots of freezing rain, and this is very problematic as we are seeing this through Wednesday, up to an inch of accumulation over the next few days. So keep that in the back of your head if you have any travel plans, especially if you're flying out of Will Rogers World Airport. But looking at the potential rainfall, this is what we are absolutely certain of. Lots of rain across the entire state. In terms of how much, over 3 inches of rain in some portions. So again, flash flooding will be possible, especially localized flooding. But the good news is we haven't seen this amount of rainfall in quite some time. This is about a month's worth of rainfall that we'll be getting in just a week's time. Now, looking at that 7-day forecast, once again, temperatures will rise to 65 degrees by Sunday before dropping into the 30s. We'll stick in the 30s and 40s all the way through the end of the upcoming work week. Guys?
Thanks, Nash. And stick around. Sports is next.
It's been almost 2 weeks since we last saw the Oklahoma Sooners on a football field, and as I recall, they were celebrating a win in the Red River Showdown.
And now they hope to take that momentum on another road trip to Texas.
Hello and welcome to what you've been waiting all day for, Big Friday Sports.
She's Sofia Olivas.
And that's Audrey Goodson.
And we're just a pair of lovely ladies here to get you prepped for another fall football weekend.
And in Norman, we all know that it starts with the Crimson and Cream. The Sooners take their 2-2 record south to Fort Worth for the annual matchup against the Horned Frogs.
This is the first time since 2016 that OU has suffered 2 losses this early in the season.
So the path to a 6th straight Big 12 title runs through North Texas once again.
You know, I like playing home, but you know, playing away is just as fun. You know, fans talking mess, just a lot of tension, a lot of everything into it. I love playing on the road. It's been fun, but you know, we got a good team on the road this week down in at TCU.
So what will be the keys to a Sooners win?
Well, you can get those answers right here on OU TV tomorrow morning at 8.
That's when our Game Day U gang will break it all down.
Now here's a quick preview.
Thanks, team. Plenty of intriguing storylines heading into Oklahoma's matchup with TCU tomorrow at Ammon G. Carter Stadium. We're going to break down a couple of them. Parker Thune alongside Shannon Earhart and Caroline Grace. Guys, I think one of the common denominators between these two teams, strength in numbers. But what's one specific matchup on the field on either side of the football that you're looking forward to watching between the Sooners and the Horned Frogs tomorrow?
Well, you guys need to watch the OU secondary versus the TCU wide receivers. This is going to be an absolute electric matchup, especially after TCU is coming off of that K-State game of only scoring 14 points. But here on OU side, there is no room for mistakes from the secondary. Absolutely none. We're looking for tight coverage from Woody Washington, Pat Fields, Delarian Turner, Yell, but that's also holding them to no penalties. So I'm excited to see how our secondary, OU secondary, is going to match up against TCU's wide receivers.
Yeah, Shannon, I'm gonna go inward just a little bit, and I'm gonna go with the linebackers versus the running backs, OU's running backs, that is, because I think Lincoln Riley has done a phenomenal job of being able to figure out what the Sooners are good at executing. But TCU on the other side has been able to keep their opponents to low-scoring games. I think we're going to see a lot out of guys like Garrett Wallow and D. Winter, and I think that in the end they're going to be able to shut down the fast plays, or if they shut down the fast plays with TJ Pledger or double up on Stogner before he gets further than 5 to 10 yards, they're going to be able to shut down that high-tempo offense, and that's the only weapon that OU has right now.
Which Oklahoma player are you calling out in this matchup tomorrow?
I'm calling out Gabe Burkage. Hey, Gabe, I know that you missed that field goal in the third quarter of the Texas game. But look, buddy, you need to come back and rally. We need you to just shake it off, pick yourself up, and move on. You need to learn from that mistake and not let the pressure get to you. It's only your second miss in 22 tries, Gabe. So come out here and really prove yourself and don't let it get to you.
Pretty good stat. Now I'm going to call out Woody Washington. I see so much determination and grit within you. I know you have more in the tank. I think that a young guy like that is exactly what we need and able to just clear out all the old secondaries and bring in a new system. And you know what, Bookie, look out, because he's got about 5 inches and a whole lot more of smart plays on his hands.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Back to Big Friday Sports, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for Oklahoma and TCU from M&G Carter Stadium.
Now don't go anywhere. We have plenty more for you after the break, including a look at your game day forecast.
And you won't want to miss the story of love and drama under the Friday Night Lights. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Big Friday Sports. If you're planning on heading down to Fort Worth to watch OU take on TCU, temperatures will be in the 50s after that cold front rumbled through. We'll be in the low 50s at kickoff, heating up to the 60s by the game's end, with winds light at about 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the north. Guys?
Thanks, Nash. It sounds like the weather's not going to be too bad for some high school football tonight. And speaking of high school football, early last week, a cheerleader at Sorrel High School was hospitalized after a football goalpost fell on her.
Autumn Wagner has more on that story and how the community is rallying around her and an update on her condition.
The stage is set. Fans in the stands, teams squaring off. This is Friday Night Lights in real life, except a tragedy hangs over Sorrel this night. A tragedy that could have been much worse.
God's gonna take this in his hands, and she's gonna come out all right. Everybody that knows is rooting for her.
Fans were cheering on both Janessa and her favorite player, Cole Carlson, the quarterback who's also her boyfriend.
Let's hear for Janessa!
And for the first time, his biggest fan wasn't cheering him on from the sideline, but from a live stream in her hospital room.
It was a little different, but I knew she was still there supporting me, so that not very much different.
I've watched Cole play all night, and he's been playing well despite what it is he's feeling about his girlfriend's condition. He continues to drive and pitch the ball down the field toward the spot where Janessa was standing when that goalpost fell and hit her. Cole says he played in the game for her.
I was thinking about her most of the game. Mostly just trying to win the game for her, and sadly we didn't, but I still played for her. I know the team played for her, and that's all you really can do.
Even though the Pirates lost, Cole was still a winner, because after the game, he got to talk to Janessa for the first time since her accident. As of right now, Janessa is still in the hospital where she awaits surgery for her broken jaw. Reporting from Sorrel, Autumn Wagner, OU Nightly.
And that's going to do it for this week. Thank you for joining Big Friday Sports.
Be sure to join us tomorrow morning for Game Day U and catch us on OU Nightly weekdays at 4:30.
And we'll be right back here next Friday to get you prepped for another sports weekend.
Good night.
Good night.